Greetings, Iain from RTO here. Welcome to Monday, and as you can see there have been a few changes since Saturday. New background, a bit bare at the moment, but bear with me, it will change, and I'll apologise now. This is the first time I've recorded using this format with the new mic and camera. Probably take a little while for it to settle down and get the right tone, so I do apologise if some of it's a bit bright and I look a bit yellow, but I can't do any alterations until I've actually recorded something properly and put it up on the screen so I can see where I need to go. So we're going to start off this week with a viewer's request for a Welsh band called the Stereophonics. Now they were formed in 1992 in a little village called Carmarthen, which is in the Sion Valley in Wales. Very nice part of the country. And the band consists of Kelly Jones on lead vocals and guitars, Richard Jones on bass harmonica, no relation to Kelly, Adam as in Danny on rhythm guitars, Jamie Morrison on drums, and they have a touring member of Tony Kirkham on the keyboards. Stuart Cable, of course, was in the band between 1992 and 2003, then Xavier Weiler 2004 to 2012 on the drums. They've released 12 albums, and 8 of them became #1. Pretty good band. Now I quite like these. I think they're a very good band. I like they remind me so much of Manic Street Preachers in the way they perform and they write songs. I like all these albums. Believe it or not, there is not a bad album. So if your favourite's at the bottom, it doesn't mean that I don't dislike this album, because I don't. I just prefer the others. It's just one of them crazy discographies. So we'll have a look at these 12 then. So coming in at number 12 we have the second album. Yes, people are going to be cringing, but and it's Performances and Cocktails, released in 1999. The band at the time were Kelly Jones, Richard Jones, Stuart Cable, and additionals were Marshall Bird on Hammond and piano, and Astrid on backing vocals on one of the cars. First track on here is called Roll Up and Shine. I love this, but what lets this down, I think, it's just that hollow. The drum needs to be a little bit more beefed up, but the rest of the song is great. I mean, it's a great vocal from Kelly. Really good track. The Bartender and the Thief, another really good track. Driving riffs on the guitars. Really strong track. Hurry Up and Wait. Well, nice gentler ones. If the drums sound good on this one, I really like that track. Pick Apart and That's New, one of my favourite songs on this album. It is just such a good song. I just like how this flows. It flows so well when the changes, and it really works. Just looking now, this one is a little bit lacklustre in places for me personally. It just falls back into it's sort of a bit of a mixed track. In parts it sounds really good, and some of the parts it doesn't. Half the Lies Tell Ain't True. So we start that one again. Half the Lies You Tell Ain't True. The bass line from Richard is really good. I Won't Believe Your Radio. Like some of Kelly's riffs on here. He's a good guitarist. Very, very good track. T-shirt, Suntan. It just lacks something. I don't know if it needs a little bit more beef on the bass or a little bit more heavy on the drums, but the song is really good, and I've heard it live and it's fantastic live, but I don't know if this really cut the mustard. Then we have a great track, is Yesterday, Tomorrow, Today. My favourite track on here. Some nice guitar work from Kelly. Fantastic track. A Minute Longer. It's another sort of ballady song, and they're pretty good. I like them pretty. There's ballady songs. Great vocal from Kelly as ever. She takes her clothes off. A lot of guitar, good guitar work. Very quirky as well. Plastic California. Bit of a filler track for me. I just think it needs a little bit more beef behind it. Which is a shame because it is a really good song. I stopped to fill up my car. A great track. Slower than the heavier tracks. It's just really good. I like this. I like this album, don't get me wrong, and people say, why is it at the bottom? I think the production lets it down a little bit, and that's why it's at the bottom. It's not the songs. I think it needed to be beefed up in places, but it's still a really good album to come in at number 12. And so I'm going to give that an RTO ranking of 6 out of 10. Okay, then coming in at number 11, we have the debut album from 1997, sorry. Now this took from October 1992 to February 1997 to record. Amazing that, isn't it? Take that long, but it's The Word Gets Around. And playing on here are Stuart Cable, Kelly Jones and Richard Jones. Marshall Bird's on the keyboards again. We've got Nadia Lanham on cello, Richard Payne on accordion. So the first track is 1,000 Trees. Great track. Absolutely killer track again. Great vocal from Kelly Jones. He is a really good singer. Next track, Looks Like Chaplin. Solid enough track, but it lacks that depth again. I know these tracks are good because I've heard them live on live albums and bits on the Beeb and all that. And they sound a lot better live. But the stereo versions just lacked something. More Than Life in a Tramp's Vest. Some great drumming from Stuart Cable on this. Excellent track. Then we get Local Boy in Photographs. Solid track again. Some fantastic riffs on this. I really like that track. Then we have my favourite track on here, and it's called Traffic. I like it because it's got that little bit of extra keyboard. This is from Marshall Bird. Really gives it that extra depth and layer, and really gives it that body that some of these tracks lack. Not Up to You. Probably the one on the album I'm not very keen on. It just lacks something again. I think it just needs a little bit more beef behind it. Check My Eyelids for Holes. Good track. The drums are a little bit hollow for me. I like my drums to sound really not. Same Size Feet. I like this track. Second favourite track on the album. It's got a great bass line. Terrific stuff. Last of the Big Time Drinkers. There's lots of distortion. There's not much distortion on this, or hardly any reverb. It's a little bit weak. Probably the weakest track on the album. Goldfish Bolt comes now. Plenty of beef in this. Great bass line from Richard. Sounds a lot better. I like the little bit of harmonica on here as well. Very, very, very good track. Too Many Sandwiches. Great vocal from Kelly. Stuart's drumming is really good on here. It's really beefy. And then we got Billy Davies' Daughter. Sort of an acoustic track, but a little bit dreary. Bit of a filler track. Very strong debut, in my opinion. But again, I think, you know, when they start out, you just got to get your sound right. But these songs are really good. Kelly Jones is a great singer. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 6.5. Okay, then coming in at number 10 for me is the fifth album from 2005, Language, Sex and Violence. Came out in 2005. Kelly Jones on the vocals, Richard Jones on bass, and this is the first album that Xavier Whaler played drums on. First track on here is a great track called Superman. It's interesting. Kelly's vocal delivery is really different, and I like Xavier's drumming on this. Pretty solid track. And up next, Doorman. Very good track. Great bass line from Richard. Really beefy. You know, they're really beefy now, these tracks. Brother, fantastic track. Great vocal from Kelly. Some nice guitar work on that one. Devil, one of my favourite tracks on here. Really strong, catchy tune. Very good. And then we have the brilliant Dakota, one of the best songs this band have ever put out. It's just got some great guitar work from Kelly. Big hit for them. Just a fantastic song. Rewind next. Again, some great drumming here from Xavier. Really adds to it, his drumming. Then Pedal Pusher. This is the one where they got the drum mix wrong. It's a shame because it's a really good song and it's just let down by the drums. Then we get Girl, which is a little short thing. Some nice guitar, great little solo here from Kelly. Then we got Lolita, sorry. Bit repetitive, not one of my favourites. Deadhead, great track. It looks like the bass has been turned up to 11 on this from Richard. It really is. And it's got the great guitar solo on. What a track. Feel, the last track, it's one of their slower tracks. And it sounds fantastic. I like this track. It's a fantastic vocal from Kelly. Pretty good album. This is the first one I brought. And I think it's great. It's number 10 and it's still a really strong album. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 6.6. Okay, then coming in at number 9, we got a 2007 out for Pull at the Pin. Same lineup as the previous album. Kelly Jones, Richard Jones and Xavier Weiler. First track is my favourite track. It's called Soldiers Make Good Targets. I love the atmosphere, the speaking, the cop sirens really add to this track. Some great drumming here, a great riff from Kelly. Richard's bass line again, turned it up to 11. Really strong track. Up next is Pass the Buck. Good little rocker this is. Lots of energy, great vocal from Kelly. Love that track. It Means Nothing. Again, it's just dominated by Richard Jones' bass line. Once they get that bass line right, it really is good. Imagine how if they'd have had this sort of style of bass on them first two albums, I think they'd have been ranked a lot higher. Very, very good track. Then we get this short little rocker called Bank Holiday Monday. Cranking riffs on this. Xavier's drumming is fantastic on this. Love that track. Daisy Lane, another excellent track, slow melodic track. Again, a lovely vocal from Kelly. He's got such a vocal range. He can sing the really gritty, rocky stuff, and then he can sing songs like this, a nice, gentle vocal. Stone, dominated by Xavier's drumming. And the little interplay he has with Kelly on the guitars through this is really good. Then we get a track called My Friends. It's got a really catchy, hooky tune, and the guitar solo is pretty good as well. I love some of the whines you get on this, the guitar whines. It's absolutely brilliant. I Could Lose Ya. Again, Richard's bass line is the thing that really stands out on this. And the drumming, it's all worked around this, just that, the engine room with the bass and drums. Fantastic track. Then we have a thing called Bright Red Star. Love this song. It's an acoustic, very gentle, and really good. Lady Luck comes next. A really good rocker. That beginning riff, it just hooks you in straight away. Crush, solid track. Another great solo from Kelly on that. And then we got Drowning. It's one of them sort of, and I mean this in a good way, plodding rock. It plods all wrong, and it really does. It's a good way to end the album. It really got a really vibe to it. Good track. I really like this album. There is not a bad track on this at all. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7 out of 10. Okay, then coming in at number 8, we have the 12th most current album, and it came out in 2022, and it's called Oochya. On here we have got Kelly Jones, Richard Jones, Adam Zanardi on guitars, and Jamie Morrison is now on the drums. First track on this one is called Hanging on Your Hinges. Good little rock track to open the album. Again, Richard Jones still pumping out these great bass lines. With the add of the two guitars, their rich sounds now, it's an absolutely killer track. Forever comes next. The guitars are so good. There's a lovely melody going on here. Great vocal as ever. When you see it, good track. Heavy this is. Having the extra guitar in there really works because you get a really strong solo from Kelly, but it's Adam's rhythm that really makes this song. Do You Feel My Love? Richard again driving a bass line through this song all the way through. Everyone sort of hooks onto that bass line. Right place, right time. Very melodic. A little bit of horns thrown in there. Some extra trumpet really adds to it. Close enough to drive home. Just typical Stereophonics track. What can you say? Does what it says on the tin. Leave the light on. Sorry. I do love this style of as well. It's a great track. Great vocal from Kelly. Let me get my favourite track on here. It's called Running Round My Brain. It's a fantastic rocker. Great bass line with some great drumming here from Jamie Morrison, and Kelly's vocal is one of his best in a long time. Very, very good track. Every dog has its day. There's quite a lot of this tracks on this album. This is one of the sort of filler tracks. It's okay. I don't dislike it, but it seems like it's pushed out there. You're My Soul. Again, it's okay. It's not brilliant, but it's okay. All I Have Is You. I like this. Some great drumming on that. Made a Mess of Me. Again, a little bit of a weaker track. Bit of a filler for me. Then we have See That Look Before. Not very memorable. Don't Know What You Got. There's a little bit of hand clapping and waving hands in the air. It's all right. Then the last track, Jack in the Box, is a great acoustic track, which isn't too bad. It's a very good album, don't get me wrong, but there's 15 tracks on here. I think it could have lost 3 or 4. And I think this would have been a lot higher up, but it just sits nicely here. It's a good album again, very consistent. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 7.2. Okay, then coming in at number 7, we have the 11th album that came out in 2019. So it's Kelly, Richard, Adam and Jamie. First track on here is I Just Wanted the Goods, a real quirky track. The guitars between Adam and Kelly are fantastic. As I said, it gives it a richer sound. Fly Like an Able, a great Stereophonics song. Some really good guitar work in this again from all 3 of them. Absolutely amazing. Make Friends with the Morning, my favourite track on here. It's a slowest track and it's a great vocal from Kelly. Some nice backup vocals as well. It's just a really good song. Stitches, what a guitar solo this has got on it. It's a gentle song, but when you hit that guitar solo, it's absolutely out the top drawer. Hungover for You, great track. There are so many sort of slower, gentler tracks on this, and this is another one. I love Kelly's vocal on this one. Bust This Town, Richard's bass line again. It's got some lovely keyboards running through this. It's a real good, solid track. This ain't easy, but the ones that we all get. A really emotional song. It's a great vocal from Kelly, delivered well. It's a lovely melodic slow rock song like that. Street of Orange Light comes next. Another fantastic track. Some delicate guitar playing on this. It's almost like a folk song. It's really strong. Don't Let the Devil Take Another Day. I love the drumming from Jamie on this. Really rolls it around. The last track, Restless Mind's got harmonica. It's very Bob Dylan. Nothing wrong with that. That's a really strong album. Track to end the album, sorry. I really enjoyed this album because it's quite mellow in places. It's not a bit different from what they normally do, but it's got some fantastic tracks on it, and I really like listening to this album. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7.4. Okay, then coming in at number 6, you go to 2013, and it's Graffiti on the Train. And this was the last record that Xavier Weiler would drum on. So it's Kelly Jones, Richard Jones, Adam Zanardi and Xavier Weiler. We've got some additionals on here. We've got Jim Lowe on the keyboards, David Arnold on the orchestral arrangements. Yes, that David Arnold of James Bond. We've got Carenza Peacock on violin, Emma Owens on the viola, Rosie Danvers on cello, Jackie Healy on vocals on one track, and Mickey Rowe on keyboards as well. So the first track is a great track called We Share the Same Sun. I love this track. It's a nice, gentle, builds up, fantastic track. There goes my mobile. Next up is the title track, Graffiti on the Train. I love this. It's the strings, the arrangement that David Arnold done on this is fantastic, and it's got a great guitar solo on it to add to it. Indian Summer comes next. The strings again and the cellos all work well. Great work here from David Arnold to incorporate this sound into the Stereophonics. Really good. Then we get this track called Take Me. Now this is a really interesting song. You've got Jackie and Kelly's vocals. It's just, they just play off each other so well. It's very ambient. Very, very good. Catacomb comes next. Driving riffs. Great drumming here from Xavier. It's a strong, strong track. Then we get Roll the Dice. Some of the violins on here add to this, and the viola. It's a lovely tone. Very, very good. Then we have my favourite track on here, and it's called Violins and Tambourines. It's definitely got that David Arnold Bond feel to it in places. This could have been a Bond theme. It really could have. It's a great track. That's why I like it. Being Caught Cheating, a bluesy melodic from Stereophonics, and it's a great vocal from Kelly. In a Moment, once again David Arnold comes up with a great string arrangement, really adds depth to this song. Fantastic. And then the last track, No One's Perfect. Great track to end the album with. Some nice guitar work and a fine vocal. Another excellent album. The string arrangements really worked. It's an exceptional album, and I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 7.5. Okay, coming in number 5, we've got the 10th album. Now this was released in 2017, and it's called Scream Above the Sounds. And on here we have got Kelly, Richard, Adam and Jamie. First track on this one is Caught by the Wind. I like this opening track. It opens up some great drumming from Jamie. The guitar work for both of them, Adam and Kelly, is fantastic. Great track. Second track, Take a Tumble. Some strong riffs on here. Jamie's drumming is really good on this. He's a solid drummer. What's the Fuss All About? An interesting track. It's got some interesting guitar tones on it, and it really works. Geronimo comes next. We got some glockenspiel on here, played by, I do believe, Kelly Jones. Yes, it just adds to it. It's really quirky. All in the Night. They're using some modern technology and a bit of programming and sampling, but they've used it to their proper advantage, and it really works. Even the bit of drum programming adds to it. It really is work. They've really thought about that, and it really works for me. Chances are, my favourite track on here, the guitar solo is great. It's got a chunky sort of bass, and you can feel the frets going up and fingers going up and down the fretboard on that. What a track. Some great effects on the guitars as well. Then we get Before Anyone Knew Our Name. I love this. It's just piano Kelly singing. Raw, simple, but very good. Would You Believe? It's a catchy tune. I do like their catchy tunes. Just some nice guitar work on that all round. Crying in Your Beer. Richard's bass line is great on this. Some great drumming from Jamie. Really strong track. Boy on Your Bike. Nice acoustic sounding track. Great vocal from Kelly. Then we get Elevators. Definitely one of them last tracks on the album. Need something to fill it up. It's okay. Very good album. 10 excellent tracks and 1 mediocre. You can't have everything, but it's still a very, very good album. The last track, it doesn't really put me off the album, and I'll give this one an RTO ranking of 7.6. Okay, then coming in at number 4, we've got the 9th album released in 2015. It's called Keep the Village Alive. Kelly Jones, Richard Jones, Adam Zanardi and Jamie Morrison. So the first track is C'est la vie. A really good opening track with a great vocal from Kelly. It's just one of them tracks. White Lies, love this track. One of my favourites on here. I like how it starts and then it just builds up. It's got some uplifting guitar riffs, really focused as well. Then we have my favourite on here, and it's called Sing a Little Sister. I just love the drumming from Jamie on this. That's my favourite bit of the track. The rest of it's great, but it's that drumming that really does it for me. I Want to Get Lost With You. This track though reminds me of some very early U2 when they first started. That guitar and that tone really is a good track. Song for Summer, one of them nice tracks with strings, as I call them. I love it. It's an excellent track. Then we get Fight or Flight. I love Jamie's drumming on this. And then you got some lovely piano work as well. It's just a really strong track. My Hero. It's one of them tracks, and you feel like at the beginning you don't expect Kelly Jones to sing. You expect Dusty Springfield. It's that sort of track, and I love that song. And I mean, I love Dusty Springfield, so you know, it's one of them tracks that's a bit can confuse you. Next track, Sunny, very foot tapping stuff. This is some nice guitar on this one as well. Into the World, really good song. Again, it's got that Bond feel to it. Then Mr. and Mrs. Smith, really quirky track. I love the middle bit when you get the bass drum, some unique keyboards, and the twin guitar sound good. Again, solid, very consistent, not a bad track on this one, so I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8 out of 10. So we've reached the top 3, and this one has been difficult. There's not much negativity about Stereophonics, full stop. So coming in at number 3, then we go to the album from 2009, Keep Calm and Carry On, 7th album, and it's the first album that featured Adam Zindani as a permanent member of the band. So it's Kelly, Richard, Adam, Xavier. First track is called She's Alright. It's a little bit different. Xavier's drumming at the beginning is really good, and then you get this lovely little guitar bit as well. Fantastic track. Innocent comes next. I love that opening chords. You know it's the Stereophonics. I like that when within 2 seconds you know which band it is before you hear it, because it's got that unique thing that makes it Stereophonics. Beer Bottle is next. They embrace that modern technology for the start of this, and then it just goes into good old rock. It's got some sampling and it works well. Very, very good. Trouble. This is very post-punk. I love Richard's bass line on this. One of my favourite tracks on the album. Could You Be There, Be the One. Again, we got one of these tracks that's got depth. I think it's because you've got an extra guitar on it. It really fills a little void that some of the tracks did have. But the double guitars works well, and it's a solid track. My favourite track on this one is called I Got Your Number. Reminds me so much of that sort of 70s glam bubblegum rock. Great drumming and the bass line. It really could have been by Slade, Mud or any of them bands. Upper Cup comes next. It's got some lovely guitar bits on here. And a great vocal from Kelly. Live and Love takes a little bit to get going, but once it does, I mean, it's only 3 minutes 45. The first minute sort of plods along, and then all of a sudden it comes to life. And when it comes to life, it's a great track. Then we get 100 mph. It's not a song at 100 miles an hour. It's just a steady sort of melodic song. Great bass line. This is the bass line that really drives that song. Wonder, great rocker. Again, it's dominated by Richard's bass line, and everyone else hooks onto that bass line, and it's a strong track. Stuck in a Rut. I like this one because it's a little bit different. The guitar's quite raw, so raw you could cut your fingers on it. It's really good. Then the last track is Show Me How. It's the last track, Album Syndrome, but what makes this pretty good is Kelly's vocal on it. Really good. If it hadn't got a great vocal, it probably wouldn't have been as good. Great tracks on here. There's some great rockers here. There's some bit of that bubblegum rock on it as well, and I love that sound. And I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 8.2. Okay then, coming in at number 2, we've got the third album from 2001, Just Enough Education to Perform. This is Kelly, Richard, Stewart, Marshall Bird doing the Wurlitzer and harmonica. Vegas, two times, one of my favourite tracks by the Stereophonics. It's just great with dirty riffs. I love it. It's just an absolute killer track. Lying in the Sun. Again, definitely one of my favourite gentler tracks by Stereophonics. And I love the bass from Richard. He's well known for his really raunchy bass lines, but this is a delicate one. It's really nice. Mr. Writer, quirky track. The music was co-written by Marshall Bird, who has been the session who plays keyboards. Really good. The keyboard work for Marshall on this is great, and I love the vocal from Kelly as well. Step on My Old Size 9s. It's a gentle track with some lovely harmonica from Marshall Bird. Really bluesy. I like that. Have a Nice Day. Great track. I do like it, but I think it's the one that really everyone loves, and it's understandable. It's a good track. Nice to Be Out. Love this. I love the lyrics to this. It mentions things like Jeff Hurst, Raging Bull, Elvis, Richard Burton, even Hitler gets a mention. It's just a really good song. Watch Them Fly Sundays. Very Stereophonics. I love the vocal from Kelly on that one. Really strong. Every Day I Think of Money. I think the guitar work at the beginning of this from Kelly really makes the song. It's really, if you really listen to it, it's some really intricate stuff on there. Then we get Maybe. I quite like this. I love the harmonies. Some little harmonies on there. Then we get Caravan Holiday. Now, when you listen to this, it could be that these are holidays, that the words that are from Kelly's holidays. It's got all them things. If you've stayed in a caravan, you can sort of relate to something on that. It's quite a fun track. Rooftop, good rocker to end the album. Some great riffs on there. It's a fast energy. Good vocal. Great album from top to bottom. Just not a bad track on here. If you think I've missed Handbags and Glad Grads off, it only appeared when after the album came out. They added it on, and I'm glad it's not here because I don't like the song. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8.3. But my favourite and my number one Stereophonics album I remember when this came out, it was played a lot, and because I had a friend that liked them, he was obsessed with them. That's why I really like them now, because of him. And it's the fourth album from 2003, and it's called "You Gotta Go There to Come Back." This was the last album that Stuart Cable drummed on as well. So it's Kelly Jones, Richard Jones and Stuart Cable. First track on here is a brilliant track called "Help Me, She's Out of Her Mind." I love Kelly's guitar work on this. It's gritty and a very, very good vocal. Maybe Tomorrow. Some great guitar work from Kelly. Stuart's drumming's good. Excellent track all round. Madam Helga's next. Stuart's drumming is great on this. I love this. It's a great, one of my favourite, definitely top 10 tracks by the Stereophonics for me. You Stole My Money, Honey. Some lovely acoustic guitar in this, and it's a fine vocal from Kelly Jones. Getaway, interesting percussion here. I like how it starts gentle and Stuart just builds it up, as along with the guitar riffs. Really good. Climbing the Wall, another interesting track. Got some horns on it, some semi-acoustic guitar. Really different, and it works. Then my favourite track on here, one of my favourite tracks, and it's Jealousy. It's a gritty guitars, gritty vocal, heavy, one of the heaviest songs. Probably one of their heaviest songs ever. Then we get I'm Alright, and in brackets, You Gotta Go There to Come Back, the title track. A great vocal from Kelly. I think the use of the drum machine on this is very good. It sort of adds to the Stuart's great drumming. Very, very good. Nothing precious at all. One of my favourite slowest tracks from Stereophonics. I love the piano work on this. It's got a nice guitar solo as well. Rainbows and Pots of Gold. Another good track, but if it weren't for the strings on this, it'd be a bit ordinary. The strings lift it. Then we have I Miss You Now. It's very sort of bluesish guitar on here, with a little bit of jazz thrown in here. It's a great vocal from Kelly. High as the Ceiling. I love the start of this. The guitar effects are fantastic. You got some strong riffs, a great bass line from Richard. Very good. Since I Told You It's Over, some nice acoustic guitars, their pianos and all work well. A strong vocal from Kelly. It's a very jazzy sort of track as well. Great way to end this album. This is one of my favourite albums because it's got some of the best vocals I've heard that Kelly sing. It's got one of my favourite slow tracks on here. And I just remember this album back in 2003. Wasn't a particular fun time in 2000, that particular period of time. I lost my mum and my grandma within 12 months of each other, so, and one of my best friends died. So it wasn't a good time, but this album sort of kept boosting me and giving me that little bit of hope, and that's why it is my favourite album, because it was an album that got me through such a bad time for me. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8.5. So there we go, the first proper show with microphones and new background. Be interesting what this looks like. So next up today is classic album, and we've been going through them. Rolling Stone magazine, their best albums of the decade. So we've reached the 1980s, and this is, I think this was number 15, and it's The Replacements and Let It Be. So that's coming up next. So I will see you for that later. Bye for now.